All right, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back to our crash course teaching in remote learning. And yesterday we have our course about using Zoom, how we can manage our class, how can we uh, conduct our class using Zoom. Right. So before we move on to our next course, which is managing workflow with Edmodo, there are a few questions from our session yesterday. So there's a question if we should really not use passwords for scheduling the meeting. Again, it for scheduling the meeting, it depends. Okay, my recommendation is not to use password because technically speaking, the meeting ID itself, okay, when you give it to your students, that's technically the password already. Okay, what I suggest and what I recommend is for you not to put this meeting ID or to give this meeting ID, through your social media or post it in your social media, but rather just give it to your classes so that no one from outside will be going in your Zoom. Also, because especially for younger kids, for preschools, for lower school students, we are avoiding uh, outside people to go in our Zoom conference because technically speaking, that's your classroom, and you don't want other people, going in because we are in a virtual classroom. Okay, so that one I suggest. Okay, why? Because you already have your meeting ID. Okay, if that student didn't get the meeting ID, of course he will not have the password. Where else can you give the password? It's through the chat as well. So they can basically you just have to give the meeting ID to your student. Next, there's also a question: how can I protect my meetings from random people joining? What I suggest is to set your Zoom meeting enable waiting room so that you can just let them join once you are settled. So you can enable waiting room for them to wait to go in the Zoom meeting. Yes, you can use password if you wanted, but again, meeting ID and password it's just the same. Do not post meeting in social media. That's that's the most important thing. Do not post your meeting ID in social media so that not people from outside will not be able to go in your Zoom. We want to protect the kids. We don't want external people to be going in our classes, okay, and maybe randomly messaging our students. So please keep this protected. So only give your meeting ID to your students. Okay, if you have your WeChat with them, so you just use the WeChat for that. Okay, and then next, there's also a question: how are you going to control misbehaving students? First, you have to set rules with your students. Okay, what your virtual classroom will be like. I suggest you can click mute all. You will see that under under the participants. There's a mute all. You can mute everyone, and then you can click allow participants to unmute themselves. Okay, if they wanted to talk. Okay, or you can click. You can. I suggest not to click allow participants to unmute themselves, but rather if you wanted, you can be the one to unmute them. So you will see that in the participants beside their names, you can unmute your participants. Okay. So you can also set a rule with them. Okay, you can raise your hand if you have a question, or there's also um, a raise hand feature in Zoom. You can just click the uh, you can just click and you can just click ellipsis, and then there will be the okay sign and the clap sign, and also they can raise their hand. They can click yes, they can click no. All right, so those are some tips, okay, for controlling misbehaving students. So you can mute them. You can also ask them. Like right now, what I did is I ask everyone to um, unmute. I ask everyone to turn on their videos, okay, for this session, and also I mute everyone. Okay, so for your class, again, it's advisable to open your classes or your students' videos so that you can see them. Okay, but you can mute them so that everyone will be muted. Not everyone will be talking, and then you are in control. You can just unmute them if they have some questions in mind. All right. So those are all about the some tips, okay, and questions from yesterday's course. Okay. Now for today, I'm going to teach you how are you going to manage your workflow with Edmodo. Okay. So Edmodo is a learning management system. It's free. Okay. You can use it here in China without using any VPN or blockers. It's easy to use, it's easy to manage. Parents, teachers, students can easily use this because the interface is very user friendly. Okay, and what's good with this is it's free, right? So you're not going to pay anything for this. Right now, how are we going to manage our workflow? What is workflow? Workflow, these are the tasks that you will be giving to the students for the day or for the entire week. Now, before I move on to manage to how I manage my workflow with Edmodo, I'm gonna give a short what um, I'm gonna be um, I'm gonna be presenting how I started everything, how I started my schedule, how I give out, like how I manage everything before or prior to the start of the of my virtual classes or of everything. So after they told us that we're going to be on lockdown, you're going to do virtual classroom, or you're going to do teaching remotely, I thought of, okay, so how am I going to pull this off? How am I going to tell my students? How am I going to keep them connected? So what I did is I created my website. Okay, actually, I have my website, so I just created a page for them so that everything will be there. Okay, so it's not going to be hard for my students to what are the tools that we will be using, how is it going to work. Okay, so here on your screen you can see this is my page for my online classroom. So after they told us we're going to be online, we're going to do remote learning, so I right away thought of, okay, so what are the things that we need our students to know, or what are the things that our students and parents need to know. So this is good for my science and design class. So what I did is, okay, so how am I going to implement my virtual classroom? So I did distance, okay, so we did distance learning. What I did is I combined hybrid distance learning. So there is synchronous learning and asynchronous learning. So what's the difference between synchronous and asynchronous? Synchronous, you're together with your students. You're at the same pace when you are teaching and when they are learning. So what are the tools that we can use for that? We can use Zoom, we can use Google Hangouts, we can use Skype, we can use WeChat, okay, we are video, okay. So those are some tools that we can use. For my class, I use Zoom for the synchronous learning. And for asynchronous learning, it's student pace. They can do independent learning while still being guided by the teacher. Okay, so that's how I did my hybrid distance learning. I did lessons. I used tools such as Edmodo, CISO, Flipgrid, Quizlet, OneNote, and Zoom for that. Okay, and how it's done is, okay. And then when it comes to the schedule, what I did is it's again a hybrid schedule. So it's a blend of synchronous and asynchronous. What I did is every Monday and Wednesday it's asynchronous learning, because sorry, every Monday and Tuesday it's asynchronous learning, and Wednesday and Thursday is synchronous learning. So I'm teaching middle school students, so I start with asynchronous. I start with them learning first, And then after that is if they have any questions or if they have any queries and I need to reinforce the learning, then I do it during the synchronous day. Okay. But for lower school or for younger kids, I suggest you start with synchronous and then go to asynchronous. Why I did asynchronous then synchronous? It's because they are already used to blended or flipped learning because we've been using Edmodo. I've been using these tools for 4 years already. So they are used to how it's being done virtually. So they know how to pace themselves and they do know how to do independent learning. There are some students who still needed guide or support, but yes, okay. But I suggest for if you are going to teach younger kids, you start with synchronous, and then during the asynchronous day, it's them learning, and then you can just guide them and everything, right? And yes, okay. So I implement my asynchronous learning through Edmodo, which I will be discussing further, and then my synchronous learning through Zoom. By the way, why Monday and Tuesday is asynchronous? Because I have different subjects. So, like for example, for me, grade 8 is every Monday and Wednesday, and Tuesday and Thursday is my grade 7. So what I did, I just used the schedule, the same schedule, the same class schedule the for the for the virtual learning or for the remote learning. So Monday and Wednesday is asynchronous. Monday and Tuesday is asynchronous for grade 8 and 7, as you can see, and then for synchronous learning, it's Wednesday and Thursday. So that's how I schedule my classes, and I put all the the tools here in my website, and then they just have to check. Parents, students, and even other teachers can check this out. I'll be sending the link for this on the tools that you can use in your virtual learning. So how I did, I put a short explanation of what the tool is, and then how it is going to be used in my classroom, and then how they can sign up. All right. So yeah, that's basically how I started. Okay, everything so that students will not have a hard time to jumpstart your class in the virtual space. Okay. Now, these are our agenda for this afternoon. So for this afternoon, we're going to learn the platform, so Edmodo, and how are you going to invite your students? How are you going to invite your parents? How can you create and schedule posts? How can you create quizzes, create assignments, and check progress? So again, this is just a short course and crash course. I'm not going to delve deeper into everything about Edmodo. I just want you to take a glimpse on how you can start your Edmodo teaching as well. So again, I am Mitchell. I am a science and design educator. All right, so there's a question. What did you use in creating your website? Yes, all right. So the website is wordpress.com. I'm going to send you the link so that you can check it out also. And then you can start creating your own as well. Yes, it will be good for the students. I think it's about time, okay, that we um, we make them. I also ask actually my students to create their own blogs. So yes, okay, this is free, so you can, and it's easy to use also. That's one thing I make sure when I use a tool or I use an edtech app. I make sure that it's easy for me to navigate, to use it, and also for teachers, or for students, and also for parents to use it. So yes, you can check out that link. Okay, you can make your own site using WordPress. Yes, and yes, okay. So I am Mitchell. I'm teaching science and design classes here in an international school in Manila, Xiamen International School. So let's get started. Let's know more about Edmodo. So again, Edmodo is a learning platform And this is what it looks like. Okay, so once you log in, once you have your account, this is what it will look like in your screen. So you have your name there, and these are your classes. So here I have my science 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 6 different classes. I have science 6, science 7, 8, 9, and also I have design classes for grade 7, grade 8, and grade 10 students. So 6 classes in all. So here you will see here, as you can see, there are other like people here. Okay, because the interface is like Facebook. It's like a community of educators, of administrators here who are using Edmodo. Okay, so don't be overwhelmed. Oh, who are these people? Okay, so because it's like a community. When you go to your homepage, it's like a Facebook for educators. So what I suggest for you to is to click class activity only, so that you will only see, if you wanted your only your activities to be seen on your homepage. Okay, and you can also filter this by, you know, those things or those posts that are ordered by yourself. Okay, so you can click by me. So only things that you posted will be seen on your home screen. You can also see some, you know, popular conversations here, and this is what is important. Okay, this here. Okay, okay. So this classes. Okay, so this is what we wanted to know. Okay, so these classes, you will see here the progress and how can you manage your class here, and also your messages here and your settings here. Okay, now let's how okay, let's go to one of my classes, and let's say grade 8 class. Right, so how are you going to start your classes? All right, so these are my classes, and as you can see, you have science and there. How can you start a new class? You can click create new class. All right, and then you can name your class. Okay, for example, I want my science, let's say science 7 remote class, and you can describe your class. This is MYP2 science by Mitchel. Let's say that, and you can select the grade level. Okay, grade level is MYP2 is 7th grade, and what's my subject? It's science, and you can select sub-subject. For example, if you have like if your focus is biology or chemistry, physics, or I'm choosing basic science, and you can put a little color to your class, and boom, you have your class. All right, now you welcome to Science 7 remote class. Okay, we recommend adding students so that you can start participating in your class. Here you can create accounts for your students, or you can have them join in your class, right? So here you will see, this is my Science 7 remote class. You will see here the class code. You can lock and unlock it. So this is important because this is the code that you will be giving to your students. So you can lock once all of your students are here, and you can reset the code if you wanted. And what's good with Edmodo is you can download the handout as well, so that you can give out this to your students. You can send it in your group chat, so so that they can join your Edmodo. Okay, or if they already have their Edmodo, they can simply just um, write down the class code, or you can also invite them by email. Okay, so you can download this hangout, this handout, and then you can send it to your students afterwards. All right. Now, how can your students join? So that's the question. All right. So this is how your students can join. So they can open their Edmodo account, and then they will be creating their account here. So If you're a teacher, click teacher. If you're a student, click student. If you're a parent, just click parent app here. And you can click students, and here you will see the group code. So the group code is UHZPPY. Okay, so UHZPPY. All right, and then let's say username is Mitchel Africa. Oh, sorry, that's Mitchel. That's Mitchel. Mitchel Africa. All right, and then you can put a password if they wanted. Okay, I'll just put 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then email is optional, so you don't really need to give your. Okay, so here, this always happens to my class. Username has already been taken, so you can just ask them to, you know, use another username. Just make sure that they remember their usernames. All right, so yes, so that's how they can get started with their Edmodo experience. Okay, so how do I manage my workflow? How do I manage the tasks that they will be doing for the entire week? So what I did is I have here in my OneNote, okay, all of the activities that will be done for the week. So for example, when we started February 13, so these are all the activities that I asked them for the entire week. So the topic is about nutrients, macronutrients, and then so I asked them to open their Edmodo, and then I put all the activities that they will be doing. This is very important so that students will not be overwhelmed. Okay, oh, what am I going to do tomorrow? What am I going to do the next day? So they already have a sense of what they will be expecting for the entire week. And then I just copy paste this and then put it in my Edmodo here. Okay, so as you can see, hello MYP3 students. So everything that they will be doing for the entire week, it's already here. Okay. But before that, before I post, 15 minutes before that time, I regularly, okay, have a wellness check with them. Okay. Wellness check is just, for them to feel, okay, that you are concerned to them. This is very important for social emotional learning. Okay. We wanted them to feel that we care for them. Okay, so it's actually already here in the platform. So when you click this, there is a wellness check under. Okay, so I just click this one, and then how are you feeling today? So that's a poll question. And what's good with Edmodo is you can schedule your post. Okay, so for example, my class for this is tomorrow, so I can schedule my class. Okay, it's tomorrow, Wednesday, and my class is 10:45 a.m. So 15 minutes, I want to check on them. So 10:30, I wanted to check here, and it's in the morning. Save date and time, post scheduled, and then post. Boom. Okay, so it will be posted tomorrow. Right now, hey, where is my scheduled post? Why it's not here on my screen? You can click scheduled post here. You will see your post. And then, oh, I forgot, it's not tomorrow. My class is on the next day. You can edit your post here. You can reschedule, and you can edit your post if you wanted. Okay, so that's not a problem, right? So that's how you can schedule your post using Edmodo. So again, I start with a wellness check. And then after that, I move on to, this is, so first minute of the class, I give them the expected task that they will be doing. So what I did again is I just copy paste this. I know that this is all the things that I will be doing. I just put it here, just change some words. So I usually start with the week with words of the week. I call it words of the week. And they do this independent learning through Quizlet. So what's good with this also is you can post you can post the Quizlet sets, okay, the link here, and they can just click it, right? So they can go here in my class and they can start learning. So what I did is I asked them to master the terms using learn activity. Okay, it's very important for us not to, not to give too much task to our students, since this is probably their first time as well doing a virtual or remote learning. So we don't want them to be overwhelmed with a lot of tasks. So try to limit your tasks as well. And yeah, that's the reason also why I did synchronous and asynchronous learning. If for them, to limit their screen time, it's also important to limit their screen time and to make sure that the time that they are spending on screen are, are meaningful or significant to their learning. So it's very important for us to consider. Okay, so yeah, so that one I'll be discussing further about Quizlet when we I think that will be tomorrow. Oh no, Thursday. Okay, I'll be teaching how you can use Quizlet, how you can use some other tools in making your classes more interactive. So yes, I start with my class with the I post this one with using the sets I created using Quizlet. Okay, now what's good again with this is you can post it ahead of time. Okay, so you can schedule your post. So Saturday, Sunday, you can manage everything, or I suggest Saturday. Okay, Sunday make that an off-screen time, your own time. Do your stuff. Okay, this is to maintain teacher sanity. Okay, I also suggest that all submissions will be done until 3 p.m. and then okay, because before I what I did is okay, I'll give you until 11:59 in the evening, do your task. But then yes, it's to keep teacher sanity, and also to help students to manage your time well. Okay, not to procrastinate, and for students accountability, and to limit their screen time also. So set a deadline. Okay, 3 p.m. Kindly give your or submit your task, and then if not, just do it the next day. Okay, that will be marked late. Yes, we understand. Again, we're most of us are new here. Even the students are new here. Give some considerations. I also ask my students to give some considerations for me, because we are still experimenting on this. Okay, there's no such thing as perfect teaching and learning. Everything is a learning experience for us. And like this whole thing is a learning experience for us as well. All right. So yes, so that's how they do. They started with that, and then I also post links. What's good is even in Flipgrid, they just I use Flipgrid for reflections, and yeah, I think using Quizlet there's a question here. I think using Quizlet for vocabulary exercise before beginning a new topic is a great strategy. We'll try that with my physical science class this week. Yes, thank you so much. Yes, it will be a good strategy for teaching, especially science or English, right? So they can start with that, and then you move on with your lesson. Because when you start with synchronous learning and then you start blurting out scientific words, scientific terms, your students are like, wait, teacher, what is that? I don't even know what that word means. So you can start out with your Quizlet, and then I use Flipgrid for submissions, for reflection. So I just post everything here. So that is how you can schedule your posts. That is how you can schedule. You can submit or you can send the learning the workflow of your students for the entire week. You can do that daily, or you can do it for the entire week. So whichever schedule works for you, or what works for your school or your class. All right. Now let's move on to how are we going. Oh, by the way, yes, you can also post videos here. I created interactive videos. So yeah, I'll just show this. So I created video videos for them so that they can learn the lessons in their own time. Okay, because my concern when we started our virtual learning is some students are in another country, they have different time zones. Teacher, I cannot join the synchronous class. I said, no problem, don't worry. There are video presentations. You can read it, and then they are writing down notes. Okay.
Today, we're going to learn about macronutrients and micronutrients.
Yeah, so that's, you can send it also, and if you have like video links for YouTube also or from other links, you can do that here. And what's good with Edmodo is you can have your assessments here, and it's graded, and you can right away see the scores of your students. So how are you going to do that? Okay, so for example, here, all right, okay, all right, here. So for example, I wanted to create a quiz or an assignment. I just click my plus button here, and here you can see create assignment and create quiz. So first, let's create assignments. How are we going to create an assignment here? Right, so your assignment details here, for example, you have your research work, you have your your laboratory experiments. By the way, for physical science, I suggest I will be discussing also about later on for our next course, OneNote, using OneNote for PhET simulation or other simulations, and then they can submit it to you right away. So yeah, you can do that virtual laboratory in science. So let's say your assignment title will be research about nutrients, okay? And then you can write down your instructions here. Kindly read this article, and then you can search in the internet what article is that, and then they can reflect on it, they can read, and then you can also send like put attachments. For example, there is a speed here, let's say speed problems or simulations and everything. Okay, you can add this or you can attach it here, and then students can download it, and then they can upload it. So students can download it, print it, and then answer it. Or what I did with them is they annotated the PDF and then send it back. And then, okay, so let's say I choose, okay, let's just put this one here. And then I just want to attach it, right? And then I'm going to assign it. All right, so you can choose which class are you going to assign it. When is it due? Okay, I'm not very strict right now with deadlines. You have to set deadlines, but you know, you can practice soft deadlines because again, we are all learning about this this experience, so it's not that easy to cope up us as teachers, them as students. So give them, you know, time to adjust also. So let's say I'm going to give it until Monday next week, and then you can set a time, and then I want 3 p.m. I don't want them to procrastinate. I don't want them to spend so much time on screen. And then you can lock it after due date. It's okay, it's fine. And or you can schedule it for later, okay? If you want this post to be posted later on. And you can also click add to grade book so that they will see, or that you will be seeing, and you can grade them, and then you will be seeing the progress. Okay, so let's say I assign it. So the item has been sent, right? How about if I wanted to, so it's here, okay, later we will check the submissions to check your students' progress. How about if I'm going to create a quiz, right? So here I can create a quiz. I can click the plus button, and then the quiz title, let's say cell theory. And instructions. So for example, kindly make sure that you have a stable internet connection. And 2, this quiz or this test will take 30 minutes, let's say 30 minutes. Okay. And then you can limit your time to 30 minutes or 40 minutes. And then you can lock it after due date. What I suggest is to randomize the questions, okay? It means that students will have the same questions, but it is randomized, okay? Especially if you're doing the summative assessment or the test, okay? Because for our school, what we are planning to do is we're going to use Edmodo as well for their summative tests, okay? And how are we going to do that? We're going to use Zoom while they are taking the test because we cannot lock the screen. So what we are planning to do is just we will just be using this Edmodo and then monitoring them using Zoom. I suggest randomizing the questions so that the students cannot discuss it, or students will have different questions, like the arrangement of the questions, and then after that, quick quiz questions. Okay, there are different ways how you can quiz your students. It could be true or false. Okay, it could be multiple choice, short answers, fill in the blanks, matching, multiple answer. So for example, I want multiple choice question on the powerhouse or storage of energy for the cell is. Okay, then you can put your responses here. You can attach files, but I suggest you keep it simple so that it will not be complicated for the students. So you just have your questions. We just want to assess their learning. So responses, nucleus, mito. This one also, okay. This is auto save. So make sure that when you give it to your students, you have previewed it or you have checked it, because I experienced it one time. Because the internet was not that stable, so it's saved, but then my question wasn't saved. So there is one question that was only what is was there, and then teach her what is this, what is, and then there's no choices and everything. I said, okay, so that's my bad. So make sure that you preview it first before you send it to your students. So nucleus, mitochondria, and let's say cytoplasm. Then you can add more responses and lysosomes. And you can click which one is the correct answer, the powerhouse or storage of energy for the cell is, and then you can put how much points are you going to give, if it's 1 point, and then you can add a new question. Or you can also add from your question bank. If you already have questions here, you can just ask, you can just look from your question bank. For example, here I have some questions from previous classes, and then I just have to add to quiz. All right, okay, so there you go. And then you will see the choices here. And then assign it to your students. How are you going to assign it? So just preview it first and then assign it. Once it's, once you think it's completely done, okay, you have to assign it. Okay, so question 2, there's a problem. Please enter a description for this question. Oh, okay. I'm going to remove it. I'm going to delete it because I'm gonna delete this question. Okay. I'll just put true or false. delete question. All right, I'm gonna just delete this question and then I'll assign it. All right, so again, when is it due? For example, it's due on Friday, and again, 3 p.m. Oh, sorry, 3 p.m. Okay, so you can lock after due date, you can schedule it for later, and you can assign it. All right, so it's successfully assigned. Now, how are you going to check your submissions now? So, okay, let me check. I have some classes here. All right, so for example, here I have 17 submissions. It was due February 22. I want to check submissions of my students. I can just click submissions, or you can also go to, okay, while it's loading, you can also go to classes and check their progress, okay? And okay, so here it's only for macronutrients and micronutrients. So I can see my students here and then check their scores, right? Also here, I can check my students, take progress, and then, okay, for example, I want to check my grade 9 class. And then this is my period 2. I have my preview period 1 before, or my first term before. So now it's period 2. I can right away check it here. So here, this is the assignments. So I can check if it was turned in. You can also check if it was turned in, it was late, and yeah, there's like percentage already. And then you can export it, you can add a grade, you can delete a grade, or you can move the grade. For example, I want to move this to period 1, so I can move it to period 1. And then you can also view their assignment here. Okay. Yep. And yeah. Now, okay, so here. Okay, let's just wait. Now, how am I going to let's see their assignment. Now, how am I going to yeah, here. So this is the summary of all the grades and the submissions of my students for grade 9 and then for other grades. Now, how am I going to, oh yeah, her here. So here I can see their submissions, when did they submit it, what time, and then you can enter a grade. So once you check it, you can also see like how many turned in, who weren't able to turn their submissions, which were graded, how many students do you have. So everything is here, it's easy. Okay, so that's for assignments and quizzes. Now, how are we going to invite parents? Okay, so in the downloads, okay. All right, so in our download, when we download the instructions, it looks like this. So hello, I'm using Edmodo in my class. This is the code, and there is an instruction for students and parents. So you can just, you know, download this handout, the one I did a while ago, and then you can send it to your teachers, sorry, to your students and to your parents. So it's very easy, not very complicated. Or you can also do this, okay? In members, you can connect with your parents with their email address in case you have. Okay, so for some schools, they have their parents connected. They have their email, or their parents' email, so you can connect them by using this. Okay, and then you can connect your parents to your students to their parents. And then yes, and then the gradebook. Okay, so this is how you can check your students' progress. And basically that's it for Edmodo. All right. So that's how we can use Edmodo in our class. And you can, navigate the platform, check out the platform and start using it in your classes, right? Okay, so there's a message here. I think it's important to note that sometimes in the middle of the quiz or test, some students might experience network issues and get kicked out. Yes, all right, so that's true. That's why I'm setting a guideline for the test or the quizzes, or for the summative test, that you have 10 minutes, okay, 10 minutes. And if you are, you can message in the chat box or in the group chat what, technical difficulties or experiences. You can still check it with your parents probably if this really happened. And that's part of the guidelines that I'm making for the students, because of course technical difficulties we cannot really we cannot really ensure that 100% all of our students will be online or will not have any technical difficulties, especially when it comes to the internet connection, to the Wi-Fi connection, because a lot of schools, a lot of people are using internet right now. So yeah, can you please show that? I would just like to add that in that case, you can then assign the quiz again to individual students. Yes, okay. Okay, so I'm gonna show you, that's a good question. Here, but I don't want to delete my students. All right, so for example, here, what I do with Edmodo is, okay, so for example, for Mary, you can delete, because they only have one take for this. So what you can do is, in case, yes, we experienced that, and then students message me that, teacher, my Wi-Fi wasn't working, or I have problem with the quiz. It's it's not working. I cannot click it, but then the time ended, and then it's submitted. What you can do is to open your students, for example, for here, and for this one, and then you can delete the quiz submission. So in this case, they can submit again. Okay, so you can switch to other student. Okay, so for example, Gordon, I need to delete the quiz submission. I can just click the delete quiz submission, and then they can submit again. That's a good question. Thank you so much. So that will be your backup plan. Yes. All right. Okay, so it's time for Q&A. If you have any other questions, yes, I think we're able to discuss everything here. If you have any other questions, I'm gonna mute. Yes, we have.
Yes, hello. Yes. Yes, what is your question?
Oh, hindi masyadong clear.
Okay.
I think no
one has questions. So yeah, that's it for today. So for today, we get to know the platform, how to invite students, how to invite parents, creating and scheduling your posts, creating quiz, creating assignments, and checking your students' progress. Okay. If you have any other questions, just feel free to message me or check my website, and you can ask me questions there, or you can email it to me. And tomorrow I will be giving a crash course on how you can use Seesaw and Flipgrid in your class for student submission. Okay, so that will be our course for tomorrow. In case you are interested, just feel free. It will be good for student submission also. So as you can see in my workflow and the tasks that my students are doing, so I link other, we call it app smashing. So I link other tools. Okay, they can put reflections in Flipgrid, they can submit works in Seesaw. So yeah, that will be our our discussion for tomorrow, our course for tomorrow. Now, if you, I will appreciate if you can answer the survey form. I sent it in the group chat. In order for you to get your, yes, class marker as well. Yes, that will be a good, thank you so much for that resource also. Yes, if you have other, suggestions and recommendations, some resources, feel free to, share it here. Class marker is also a good one. Schoology is also good. It's just that I'm having problems sometimes with my students, joining Schoology. I'm not sure if it's open. So that's why I just use Edmodo anyway. All right. So yes, kindly answer the survey form, and also that will be a way for me on how I can improve, delivering this crash course or this courses, and yeah, so that you can receive your certificates again within this week. Thank you so much to our lab. Okay, thank you so much for sharing, and also for everyone who joined today. Again, if you have some resources and if you have any questions, just feel free to message me, and I'll see you tomorrow for another crash course, okay, about using Seesaw and Flipgrid for student submission. Thank you so much again. I'm Mitchell, and I'll see you again tomorrow. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you.